All right, folks, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, of course, longtime commentator at CNN. He is out fired today as a result of a speech that he gave at the United Nations in support of the Palestinian people. Mediaite is reporting that CNN, this is the quote from them, Marc Lamont Hill is no longer under contract with CNN. According to their story, Hill, and here we go to my iPad, please, Hill urged countries to boycott Israel in a speech on Wednesday calling for a free Palestine from the river to the sea. It is that comment that a Jewish organization seized on. They say that is a phrase that has been used by Hamas as well as other anti-Israel terror groups, the phrase from the river to the sea. It implies, according to this story, the phrase implies the replacement of Israel by Palestine stretching from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. Marc Lamont Hill disputes the characterization of his comments. This is what they have here, down here. He says, quote, I support Palestinian freedom. I support Palestinian self-determination. I am deeply critical of Israeli policy and practice. I do not support anti-Semitism, killing Jewish people, or any of the other things attributed to my speech. I have spent my life fighting these things. He also then tweeted, my reference to river to the sea was not a call to destroy anything or anyone. It was a call for justice, both in Israel and in the West Bank, Gaza. The speech very clearly and specifically said those things. No amount of debate will change what I actually said or what I meant. He then said, this isn't a case of throwing rocks and hiding hands. I genuinely believe in the arguments and principles that I shared in the speech. I also genuinely want peace, freedom, and security for everyone. These are not competing ideals and values. And so here is a portion of his speech. I'm going to go to it where he talked about it. So I read some of that. And then he later said in his speech, which we're trying to get some video, he says, contrary to Western mythology, black resistance to American apartheid did not come purely through Gandhi and nonviolence. Rather, slave revolts and self-defense and tactics otherwise divergent from Dr. King or Mahatma Gandhi were equally important to preserving safety and attaining freedom. If we are to operate in true solidarity with the Palestinian people, we must allow the Palestinian people the same range of opportunity and political possibility. If we are standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people, we must recognize the right of an occupied people to defend itself. We must prioritize peace, but we must not romanticize or fetishize it. We must advocate and promote nonviolence at every opportunity, but we cannot endorse a narrow politics of respectability that shames Palestinians for resisting, for refusing to do nothing in the face of state violence and ethnic cleansing. And again, as I said, he is, of course, longtime professor at several universities, author as well, has been a longtime supporter of the Palestinian people. Again, as a result of that speech to the UN on yesterday, CNN has chosen to fire Marc Lamont Hill. I did send him a text message to see if he will come on the show to give us his thoughts about being fired from CNN and his speech. Had not heard back from him, though. Right now, I want to go to my panel. Michael Brown, former chair of the DNC Finance Committee, and Julian Malveaux, of course, economist, president emerita of Bennett College. Also, Malik Abdul with the Conservative Federation. What's up, folks?
Hey, how you doing?
So let's talk about this, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. There have been a number of people over the last several years, even entertainers, who have been calling for folks to boycott performing in Israel as a result of what's happening with the Palestinian people. Many have criticized them for canceling concerts. We saw Ron DeSantis in the gubernatorial election rip into the Dream Defenders because they have the same position as Marc Lamont Hill on this. And so, your thoughts on this idea that because he said, and I'm going to go back to the quote here, from the sea to the sea. From the comment, I got it, guys, from the river to the sea. Mm-hmm. So you mean to tell me, so what, those 6 words?
You know, Roland, the thing about it is anytime anyone is even slightly critical of Israel, we're then accused of being anti-Semitic. I say we because if you are a human rights activist, then what's happening to the Palestinian people is simply wrong. And if you take it in terms of historical context, remember that Israel was created out of Palestinian land. Guess where they were going to put it first? Uganda. The initial plan was to put Israel, they were going to snatch some black people land, but you know, those Messiah were not having that. And so, but that was the initial plan, was to create a Jewish homeland on the African continent. Now, this was way back in 1948. I ain't that old, but I did study it. But in any case, it's just interesting contextually that Israel has come They have encroached land from the initial space. Jewish people certainly have a right to live, to survive, and to thrive, but not at the expense of other people who they've run off their land. And so I don't think that Marc Lamont Hill said anything that was especially egregious, but I do think that we're in a climate, especially given the amount of anti-Semitism that we're experiencing, is we're in a climate where there are challenges.
So Malik, the question does beg, can somebody speak their thoughts that disagree with Israel and not be anti-Semitic? Can you disagree with what the Israelis do?
Hey, well, I'm the Republican on the panel, so as far as...
what does that mean?
The idea that people should be able to say things that others can misconstrue. In this particular case, we have the Jewish community. The Jewish community, they're the ones who's saying that his comments were anti-Semitic. We can debate whether or not they were. I don't think that they were.
You agree with me?
Well, of course. I'm sure I agree with you on a lot of things. But Marc Lamont Hill will be allowed to defend himself. Marc Lamont Hill will be given the benefit of the doubt that what he said was not anti-Semitic. Unfortunately, we live in a climate that does not allow that for for Republicans in general, but particularly black conservatives. I give him the benefit of the doubt that what he said was not anti-Semitic, in the same way that I give that same benefit of the doubt to Cindy Hyde-Smith.
Oh, please.
So,
See, I knew you were gonna go there.
again, Mike Brown, when you see this, when you heard what I read his speech, and again, they're saying from the river to the sea, that's anti-Semitic. And again, CNN hasn't said exactly why they fired him, but clearly the criticism against his comments is the reason.
Yeah, I don't know if I can put my toe into the debate on whether the comment was anti-Semitic or not. However, I want to stop what the doctor was talking about and co-sign with what she was talking about. In the environment we're in, everything you say has to be thought about. You have to think about it. It's a different time now, whether we like it or not. And everything you say, everything you tweet, everything you email to a friend can be construed as something, and somebody may not like it. So in this environment, whether right or wrong, you got to, kind of deal with the consequences of that. Now, again, I am not saying whether right or wrong, because I don't know, and we'd have to have a further conversation whether those 6 words meant what they mean to other people and whether they were offensive or not. But clearly to some folks at CNN, they were.
To the pro-Israeli faction, anything you say that's pro-Palestinian is considered anti-Semitic. And that's problematic to me. I mean, Palestinian people are human beings also. I mean, people have lost their homes, their livelihoods, everything. And because, of course, no one likes anti-Semitism, everyone recoils from the Holocaust, but that doesn't mean that Palestinian people do not have rights. And on the other hand, you and I are going to have a conversation later about the little Klan woman in Mississippi.
So again, hopefully Mark will hit back to me. We'd love to have him on the show to talk more about this, and so we'll have that for you. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.